Hi, folks. Welcome to another Rio and Raw conversation. Today I'm joined by my co host, Marco Alexander, directly from Jerusalem, and we're going to have a very special conversation with our guest, Shadi Kabu, who is an Aramean Christian leader from northern Israel and also the founder of the Israel Christian Aramaic Association, and also worth to mention, a former IDF officer. Shadi has been at the forefront of the movement to preserve Aramaic language and heritage, and he played a central role in Israel's 2014 recognition of the Aramean identity. So we'll be talking mostly about history, faith, language revival, and what it means to be an Aramean Christian in Israel in current day and age. We also are going to cover the recent events, in particular the flotilla that is heading towards Gaza, the terror attack that took place in North Jerusalem, and the elimination of the Hamas leadership in Doha. So if that's something that you are interested, make sure to stay around for the next 60 to 90 minutes. And if you know someone who may be into this topic, please share. There's a share button just below. If you enjoy what we do here, I'll be pleased if you can press the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, it's never too late. The subscribe button is there for you to be notified of the upcoming shows. So thank you, Shadi, for joining. And just before we start talking, Marco, I will ask you, how are things in Jerusalem given all the tension?
There's a little bit of tension, but we're used to tension here in the land of Israel, and it only makes us stronger. Put it that way. As Shadi knows the story. The more they hit us, the stronger we get, and the harder our reaction will be. Anyway, on that happy note, Shadi, welcome once more. Thank you for participating in this podcast. You are, of course, at the forefront of a very important endeavor, namely the Christians in the land of Israel and in the surrounding countries reacquiring their original identity. Because many people assume that the Christians are the same. They tend to get subsumed into the wider Arab world. But you obviously can tell us a very different story about an ancient community in the land of Israel and indeed the Near East, and the efforts to, a bit like the Jews, to reacquire their real identity. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, thank you, Vitor and Marco, for hosting me here in this important show and platform that you have, and to share with people about our community, about our Aramaic language and identity as a people, as people have who are indigenous to this region. And as you know, the Aramean people, which is Aramaic, to make it easy, not confused between Armenian and Aramaic or
Indeed.
Aramaic. So
Indeed.
Armenian are Indo-European people, and Arameans are Semitic people, and they were scattered and living in what we call the Levant today, in what we call before land of Aram from the Bible, and as it was here, land of Israel or land of Canaan and land of Aram, and has different Aramaic kingdoms and has Aramaic tribes and people living in different kingdoms like Aram Damascus, Aram Soba, Aram Naharaim, where Abraham came from, Isaac, Jacob were got married from wives from there. So we know that the origins of the Israelites and the Hebrews are Arameans, and the 12 tribes of Israel were of Aramaic background. You can go to the sources and check it out, and even the Jews, in the Passover holiday, they recite a very important sentence and a song, a wandering Aramean my father was, went
Indeed.
down to Egypt and become to a strong and powerful nation. So the Israelites has Aramaic background and origins from Aramaic fathers and mothers, and developed as being called later on Jews based on the tribe of Judah. You know about the exile, about everything. And from this tribe of Judah, we have King David. And from King David tribe, we have our Messiah, Jesus, that we believed on him as the Messiah and being called Christians or Messianics at the beginning. And then later on formed the churches. The early churches that were formed were Jewish churches, by the way. Jewish followers of the Messiah were called Messianics, and we are the descendants of those people who spoke Aramaic language from the Arameans around Israel here and in the Galilee, and from the Jews. And so we are still preserving our identity and language formed by those early churches and called the Syriac Aramaic churches of Antioch. Now we are called Maronites or Syriac Orthodox or Syriac Catholics or Syriac Melkites and different other churches in this region that belong to the Church of Antioch. So we still exist in this region, and we preserve this identity and language in the churches. And also we have some people still speaking this language in daily life. So uniquely, I will speak about, or I will mention the Syriac Orthodox Church believers that's still preserving this as a spoken language. And the Syriac Maronite Church, we have very few that speak it, but mainly they are using it as a sacred language of the church. So they are mainly in Lebanon and in the diaspora because of the persecution. And as you know, from the 7th century until now, we were occupied by Arab Islamic forces that imposed on all of us here, Jews and native Christians, a form of Arabism and Islamization that this persecution led many people to flee this area to the west and still exist in Western world. Even in the diaspora, we are more than what we are in our original homelands, unfortunately. And that's not because we like to leave our areas and migrate. It's because of the oppression and persecution and occupation of Arab Islamic forces since the 7th century.
Very interesting indeed. I see some parallels with our story, with the Jewish story, many parallels. For example, at a certain point, there was a reawakening, and the Jews we felt the need to return to the land of Israel. So obviously, from what you're telling us, something is happening in the Aramean world. When did this sort of reawakening and this awareness begin to surface again, that the Christian and the Arameans were something very distinct from the wider Arab population? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, always Maronites and other Christians in this region felt they knew that they are unique and they have a different culture and different civilization and they belong to different people. We have the history testify for example, the Syriac Orthodox in northeast Syria. They were massacred and slaughtered and faced genocide by Arabs and Muslim forces and Kurds and Turks, and same like the Maronites, Aramaic Phoenician people in Mount Lebanon. And those people actually still fighting for their existence. But in 2014, mainly, when Israel recognized our Aramaic identity as a national identity for Eastern native Christians, the only state in the Middle East.
And you were at the forefront of that.
I was, yes,
you
I
were at the
worked for
forefront
this
of that.
7 years for this very hard work that I can tell you that later on how we did it. But just to finish my point, when this was recognized, the people had hope that things are changing and there is a hope for a better future for them, that other nations will recognize them and will follow the step that Israel did here in by recognizing them. So this gives hope for many communities, and they like connected again with the Jews and Israel, and connected with us as an Aramaic community in Israel. And we are still until now connected and working together to revive our language and gather our people again under a Congress, Aramaic Congress in the world. And that's what we are doing today. And thanks to Israel and its recognition.
Vitor, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, Shadi just touched in a point that I'm very keen to explore, which is the language. So, in this global society, it's very difficult to maintain local traditions, local habits. What is the relevance or the role of the Aramaic language for you guys, and what efforts are you doing to preserve it?
Okay, here and we have a different federations. In each country, we have federation, we have organizations. In our case, in Israel, we have the Israeli Christian Aramaic NGO that I founded back in 2006 when I returned from my studies in USA. I studied international business and finance in USA University. Coming back and founded this NGO with more of like I call it friends and a group of Aramaic Maronite people in our town in Upper Galilee in Jish. And since then, we were working to preserve it by teaching it for the children in the church, the Maronite Church of Jish. We had 95 kids, and then we start having Aramaic summer camps, and then we had a permit by the state of Israel to teach it in the elementary school, and they allowed us to do so. While Arabs didn't like this permit that we achieved from the state of Israel. Unfortunately, I say that I mean, were they asking for their own rights and they got it? But once other minority and national minority ask for their rights and they got it, they don't like it and they want to impose a new Arabic language and Islamic history. And that's what they want you to learn and not your own history and your language. So that's what we achieved in 2009 from the state of Israel. It's a big achievement. And in 2014, we continue to the next step, which is a huge achievement to have Israel recognize our identity. But in order to receive this or to achieve this, we had a lot of work, as I told you, and I mentioned the work that we did before. But in order, why we did this work, how we did it is also important. How we expose it to the national level here in Israel is also important, and to the worldwide public is also important. We use media, and media is important when you do some social activity and national activity. It's very important. We are a tiny minority here, and as a people, and we don't have like a power of media. We don't have media channels like the Arabs do, and they have Arab countries behind them, Islamic country, and a huge amount of money and oil, that money that comes from oil, and they can do and buy channels all over the world, like Qatar is doing, and buying channels in Europe and buying soccer clubs and football teams, and they are buying real estate, and they are influencing the governments and bribing government people. This is because they have money. We don't have it. So the only
Mm.
way we have, the only thing we have a Facebook that time. We had people in the media or in Israel that bringing them to report about our activity and about our initiative and movement to revive Aramaic language among Christian natives in the Galilee, preserving our identity. And this led to more journalists from overseas to come and report. And this is the way we exposed our existence and movement slowly until it reached the government level and people, decision makers in the government. And I start knocking doors. We start knocking doors in the Interior Ministry, Foreign Affairs, Prime Minister office. I met finally Benjamin Netanyahu in 2013, and finally and thankfully, Israel and the government of Israel, led by the Benjamin Netanyahu back then and by Gideon Saar as Interior Minister. Today, he is the Foreign Minister. They recognized our Aramaic identity in 2014, and we were able finally to achieve what our forefathers failed to achieve before and Israel made justice with us, and hopefully other countries will follow this step.
Very interesting
Mm.
indeed. I see there's a comment here by a gentleman who says he teaches or somebody Aramaic to his children. And I was wondering whether there is within the Aramaic community, the Aramean community, forgive me, so a Ben Yehuda type figure who brought the Hebrew language back as a spoken daily language. Is something like that happening in the
I,
Aramean community in Israel?
I want to compare between the status of Aramaic and status of Hebrew when Ben Yehuda start reviving the Hebrew language.
Mm,
In the case of Hebrew, Hebrew was a dead language. It was only a holy language of the Bible, and people didn't speak it. They prayed in this in synagogues, but they didn't speak it. In our Aramaic case, the language is still alive.
mm,
The language is like as a spoken language,
yes.
and it is also a holy book
Mm,
language, a holy books language of the church. It is still prayed in the church. It is still spoken by like mothers to their children in diaspora
mm,
and in other places in Middle East where we exist. And so the difference here is big because you have books, you have people speaking it. You only need to learn it and manage to open schools and kindergarten.
mm,
What I learned from Ben Yehuda is very important thing. We need to start from the kindergarten level and open schools to teach the language in all diasporas, including in the Middle East.
mm,
This is the way to preserve the language because we don't need to revive it.
mm.
It exists. We
Yeah,
need just to preserve it and teach it and spread it among
of
the
course.
people.
Vitor, do you want to?
Yeah, I got a question here that I'll be very keen to explore. How do you guys differ from the Arab Christians? It's something that I was
The
asked
This
to
is a
process,
ask. That makes
the,
sense.
this is a very interesting point, and Shadi's all too eager to answer this. Go ahead,
I knew it.
Shadi.
I knew it.
uh, this concept called Arab Christian. Okay, maybe very little, very few people call themselves like or descend from Arab Christians that were wiped out by Islam. Or by the way, the Arab tribes, we call them Gassasina and Manazira. Those Arab tribes, my friends, were in the Arab Peninsula, North Arab Peninsula. They were wiped out by Islam and Islamic forces, and they submitted to Islam. And no one until the 10th century exists from them. So the very few of them that flee from Arab and Islam went to the Byzantine Empire and become Greek Orthodox and part of the Greek Orthodox Church and adopted a Greek language and become Greeks like all other Greeks with a few hundred years afterward. So it's enough two generations, by the way, and you are finished. You are to like same like other church that you are part of it. So that's what happened to Arab Christians. And that's why Arab Christians didn't form churches for them, by the way. Because what is a church? A church meaning a people who gather, the gathering, the people who gather in the name of, praying in the name of Yeshua or Messiah or Jesus. The Arab Christians didn't manage to open or to found a church. Even one church in the Middle East doesn't is not called Arab Christian church. Nothing. No historical church in the Middle East. There is Greek Orthodox Church. There are Syriac churches, include the Maronite, Syriac Maronite Church, Syriac Catholic Church, Syriac Orthodox Church, but or Assyrian Church, or what they call it, the Church of the East. They call it today Assyrian, or the Chaldean Church. They also Aramaic churches, but no Arab church until today because there's no Arabs. Didn't like no Arabs that were Christians and were able to form, because all of them were wiped out and Islamized. So this is a wrong concept. It is, they are calling Arab those people Arab Christians, but they are Aramean in their backgrounds,
Yes.
Aramaic people, and or like Aramaic Phoenician people, or they are Greek people who were here in this region and were forced to speak the Arabic language under Islamic conquest and colonization of this region, what we call the Levant and land of Israel, land of Aram. Jews as well in this region were forced to speak Arabic, not because they spoke Arabic, because their original language during Jesus' time, for example, they spoke Aramaic like Jesus. He was Jewish and he spoke Aramaic. So we know what happened. For example, I give you for Westerners to understand what is colonization and how colonization worked with the Arabs in this case. For example, Portugal occupied Brazil. Brazilians will tell you, I'm not Portuguese, I'm Brazilian, but they speak Portuguese. Speaking Portuguese doesn't make them being Portuguese people. They are Brazilians. Same like Spanish people. They are also were colonialists. They occupied Cuba, they occupied Argentina, they occupied South America, and for many years, the people start speaking Spanish. But people tell you, I'm not Spanish. I am Argentinian. I am Indian from Chile, or I am from Mexico, come from a different ancient culture, as you know. So this is exactly what the Arabs did in the Middle East for other nationalities that were exist here for centuries, 2,000 years, 2,600 years, even before Arabs came and occupied our region. The Aramaic people, we mentioned them at least 2,600 years before Arabs, same like Jews. And those Arabs coming in 632, occupying Jerusalem in 637, occupying Damascus, sorry, Jerusalem in 638, occupying Damascus in 637, they forced this under the Caliphate, the Islamic Caliphate. They formed an Islamic State, and the only official language that was allowed is Arabic. And people couldn't speak other language because they will be terrorized by the Muslim followers and by the rulers of the Islamic State, because they want to make Arabic spread as a source of pride for them as Islamic language. And that's how our language couldn't survive in a wider areas, but only in isolated places like Mount Lebanon, for example, where I originated from in 1600, and we came to the Galilee, or from northeast Syria, or in other places in the Kalamun Mountains, or other places in Aleppo region. So it was scattered. Jews spoke it until lately, Aramaic, by the way. I know some of the Jews that spoke
That's
it.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
We also speak it as well. And that's what we share together with the Jews. We are the indigenous people of this land. We were colonized by Arabs. And that's what we call Arab Christians.
Right. But what is the feeling among the wider Christian community in Israel, for example? I mean, you have a very strong opinion, and it's obviously something that resonates with me. But if we talk to the population in general, do they subscribe to what you say, or are they fearful of a reaction? I'd like to explore this theme with you a little.
I am not worried about the people knowing this or not knowing this, following my view or my history, because history is written. It's a history. It's not political agenda. I'm talking about history, and history is written. If you want to learn it, then you will know it. If you don't want to learn it and you want to be Arabized and you will be forced to learn Arabic language and Islamic history, you will not know it, and you will think you are Arab Christian.
Right.
And that,
No, but
unfortunately,
that,
what we are missing in Israel here. We're
yes,
missing
yes,
in Israel, in Lebanon, in Syria, and all Arab regimes where they have the Arab sphere and influence, include
right.
Israel,
Yeah.
the teachings of our own ancient Christian origins, which is
Right.
Aramaic culture and
Right.
civilization.
So basically, what you're telling me is that the Christians are being intimidated from reclaiming this Aramean heritage. Is that what you're?
Exactly, exactly. And I tell you more than this. I led a committee of priests that are in charge of all Christian schools in Israel. I went with them and I arranged this meeting with the Ministry of Education of Israel in Jerusalem. And before that, I told them that the meeting gonna be about forming a curriculum, pedagogic curriculum for
Right.
Christians only.
Yeah.
Means it will not be part of Arab Islamic curriculum. And we need to ask for it, and the ministry will be ready to give it. But I need your consent also on this as a committee that in charge for the schools. I started the meeting with opening and asking this request. And the general manager of the Ministry of Education asked all of them, are you agreeing with Shadi request to teach under your own curriculum with your own how you call it, with your own financial budget without being connected to Arab and Islamic curriculum or section? All of them said yes. All of them.
Right.
At the end, she was happy. And then at the end of the meeting, one of them came in and said, we have very little request. She said, what request? He answered her, and he's a priest. Please, can you show this that you forced that on us? We prefer that you forced that on us, and it wasn't our request.
Right.
You know what was her answer? She said, I am doing something good for you. Coming to do good for you as a Christians. To have your own request and ask for your own, reclaim your own identity and culture and teachings of your faith. I don't want to be showed as a person that I am forcing you to do something that you don't want. If you want this, write me a letter and we will give you whatever you need. But it should be your request and not our
an imposition from
above.
Right.
You know what they want? They afraid from Arab reaction. They afraid. They are terrorized by Islamic Palestinian Authority reaction. So they prefer to show that it is imposed from above and not their request.
I
get your point. Vitor, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to add a comment here. Just going back to the history scope, and so that's the comment. I also want to encourage everyone to drop their comments in the chat box, and if they haven't subscribed to the channel, I'll be grateful if they can do that to support us spreading our content in the YouTube sphere. So our viewer is saying most of the damage against us began when the Seljuks, I don't know how to pronounce it, Timurids, showed up. They did way more than Arabs attempting to erase us. Timurids destroyed nearly all churches in Central Asia. Your thoughts on this comment, Sharid?
Well, I don't think he's wrong with this comment. The Arabs also did their part, and they continued. They completed that. The Arabs were not innocent on their behavior to destroy churches. I can tell you that many of our churches in the Middle East today are mosques, huh? Are becoming a mosque. Take the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. It's Hagia Sophia, and now it become a mosque. And take the mosque, the church of Saint John in Damascus. It become Al Masjid Al Umawi, the mosque of Umayyah. Take the mosques in Egypt. Take mosques here in Israel, in Jordan, in Lebanon, in Syria. Many of them were all churches and now becoming mosques.
Right.
So this is in Arab time. And why we go far? Egypt by itself, it's called from the Coptic. Original people are the Coptic Christians.
That's true.
It was occupied by not Seljuks. It was occupied by the Arabs themselves.
Yeah.
And they destroyed the Alexandria library, a huge library that preserved a very precious history of the Middle East and science of the Middle East. They destroyed it and burned it. This is kufr, they say. This is like, for them, all things that bring light and modernization, this is kufr. This is like a sin. So you need to destroy and burn. Go to Gaza. There was only one library for a Christian man in Gaza. Under Hamas, they forced him to close it. And after that, they killed the person and burned his library.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to ask you something. This is where you raise a very important point, because I'd like you to analyze the situation of the Christians within the state, within Israeli jurisdiction and under the PA, because our viewers are not aware of what's really going on in areas under the PA. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The Christians under the PA are living as dhimmis. Dhimmis means a second or third or fourth or fifth class citizens. They pay lip service. They pay lip service means they pay jizya, tax protection for being protected and not harmed by their Muslim neighbors and by the Islamic Palestinian Authority. Palestinian cause is Islamic cause. It's not me saying that, they are saying that. The Palestinians themselves, Hamas himself, and all the Palestinian people and Arab world saying Palestinian cause is Islamic cause.
Jihad. It's jihad. It's jihad.
For all jihad. It's a jihad for all ummah, for all the Islamic ummah, mean nation, they call it. And so the Christians there in the Palestinian Authority are paying this by lip service, means they need to speak badly against Jews. They need to speak in solidarity with their cause. They need to show that they are together with the Muslims, siding against the Jews. And if they do the opposite, like we are doing here in Israel, and where we are attacked because we were clearly stating we are Israeli citizens, we need to serve the country, we have duties to serve it, and we have rights that we need to get equally. That's the basic citizenship in any country, duties and rights. You can ask for equal rights, but you need also to ask for equal duties. Equal duties is serve the country like all other citizens, and sacrifice for the country like all other citizens, and ask for your rights as equally like all other citizens.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And
that point, sorry.
Very imposing terror on Christians, and anyone who say anything against them, he will be oppressed, slaughtered, and the Muslim neighbor harassing women, harassing the Christian neighbors in Bethlehem. They're taking their land without, in their stores sometimes, without even they can't say any word about it. I know a story from like 2 months ago of a Christian man in Bethlehem with 3 daughters and 1 son. He has a souvenir store in Bethlehem. A family from Hebron, Muslim family from Hebron, gangs came in to Bethlehem and they told him, we want your store. He said, but my store is not for sale. It's my only source of income. I don't want to sell it. He said, no, you must sell it. He said, but I don't want to sell it. He said, okay, you don't want to sell it, no problem. You know what they did? They caught his daughter when she was walking in the street one day. They raped her and they sent her to her father, and told her,
We've lost
We lost Shadi.
Shadi,
Yeah,
we'll try and get Shadi back, but certainly Shadi is saying some very important things. The plight of
can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. We got you back. Yeah. Good. Go ahead.
They went to he went to the family. Why you did that for my daughter? You know, he cannot go to the authorities and complain, because then he knows the authorities would do nothing with these gangs, with these tribes. And you know what they did for him? They sent him in the street back home naked to humiliate him. And when that happened, he had a warning from them. Next, it will be the second daughter, and until we reach your son, you will die, or you sell your store for us. He closed the store and migrate to Canada. And that's the situation of Christians. The Palestinian Authority does nothing, zero, for protecting Christians, zero. And that's why Bethlehem emptied from Christians, not because of Jewish oppression. Since 1995 Oslo Agreement, it's a huge mistake that Israel gave up.
An enormous mistake. I reaffirm this all this time, Shadi. The disaster that is Oslo is a disaster for all decent people everywhere.
Yes.
Oslo has been a disaster, and I would go beyond a disaster. It was criminally imposed. Go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, so that's Oslo. Oslo made a huge injustice for Christians of Bethlehem. They put Christians of Bethlehem under Islamic Palestinian Authority, under Islamic cause. The Christians need to justify their existence by standing with the Palestinian Arab cause, which is Islamic cause against the Jews. This was bad for the Jews, this was bad for the Christians, and this was bad for peace in this region.
Yeah, Shadi, you were just describing what happened to the gentleman and the family, and I really hope that we have plenty of Westerns listening to you, because that can be taken as a warning for things that have happened just in our neighborhood, at our doorstep. We have the enemy just knocking our door. Yeah, the whole of Europe. So I really hope that your words are going to resonate, because you are dealing with a monster that soon we will, if not tomorrow or the week after. And I think we, like in Europe, make a huge mistake when we think that we can approach the Middle East in a way that we approach Europe. It's not the same context. It's a completely different ethics. I just described a situation where force, violence, and other elements were used to impose who is in charge. So I really hope that people take your example as a warning. Would you like to stress how urgent is the situation is in Europe, given your experience with Arab fanatics?
Look, I give you example of Lebanon, and this is a warning for Europe. Lebanon was a Christian majority. had a native Christian majority of Aramaic Phoenician background that they call them Maronites. And these people formed the state of Lebanon. The Arabs of Lebanon didn't want to form a state of Lebanon. They wanted to belong to what they call the big Arabic Islamic state with its capital in Damascus. And they actually, in the 1920s, they even waged wars against South Lebanese Christians, and they massacred them. And they came and flee to our village, which was under British mandate in the border with Lebanon, called Bar'a. They flee and hid in our village. Some of those families from Aita Sha'ab, from others. And to make it short, Lebanon was a Christian majority with the Christian background and civilization and Western values. That was the aim of Lebanon, to state Jewish and Christian in the region, here in Israel and in Lebanon, and both will have peace. Lebanon didn't manage to preserve its majority because they made it a civil state, allowing the Muslim neighbors that didn't want Lebanon to exist from the beginning to be citizens, and they took advantage of their liberal values as Christians and wiped out the Christians by wars and internal wars led by Arafat, that fought the Christians flee from Jordan because King Hussein killed many Palestinians that revolt against him, and nobody said any wrong against King Hussein because he's allowed to do whatever he can for protecting his country as a Sunni Muslim. But Christian cannot protect himself as a Christian, protecting Lebanon from these gangs and monsters. And Jews cannot protect themselves from these monsters too. Only they can do whatever they want, and they cannot be asked. So once we reacted, a civil war started. I mean, as Maronite, as Christians,
Yes,
to
yes.
defend this state. And then a war started. And in this war, a jihadist from all the world, from Saudi Arabia, from Jordan, from Iraq, from Syria, from Libya, Tunisia, Sudan, Somalia, all over the Arab and Islamic world, came to fight the Maronite native Christians of Lebanon and destroyed this state and took it to be, and it actually ended up to be under Iranian today, not under their even Sunni world, under Iranians, led to Hezbollah and Iranian regime in our borders with Israel. And we had this now war with Lebanon lately because they started firing weapons and trying to do October 7th, building this 7 arena, what we call war against Israel, that we still actually engage until today to defend ourselves from it. Lebanon, we lost it. If you don't want to lose Europe, watch out what they did for Lebanon and protect your countries from those immigrants that are coming there not to be integrated in your country, but to be building their Islamic Sharia empire and state and caliphate, we call it worldwide caliphate, and they come under cover of immigrants. Some of them, yes, maybe there are some immigrants really needed, but majority are not.
There is a grand plan, let's put it this way, to move populations in order to conquer and to dominate and to subvert the democracies of the West. And I add, with the complicity of the governments, because I think we have to reaffirm this, Shadi. It is European governments, it's European institutions that have allowed this to happen. Going back to the situation in areas under the PA, can you give us an example of let's call a spade, the ethnic cleansing of the Christians in areas under the PA, because the population has been reduced dramatically since the folly of Oslo. Can you give us some numbers with regard to the Christian population?
The Christian population of Bethlehem, of the what we call Judea and Samaria today, They call it West Bank or whatever the other name they giving it, but we know it's Judea and Samaria historically. It is today about
Mm.
2% of the population. Means all together, those Christians in Judea and Samaria include Bethlehem, Ramallah, Nablus, and other small villages. 30 to 40,000 people. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Huh? Most of them migrated.
Mm.
And migrated because of the oppression of their neighbors and because the other culture that was imposed on them doesn't match their culture and doesn't allow them the freedom to practice it freely, and they cannot live with it. And here in Israel is the only place where we are 180,000 proper Israel as Israelis, and we enjoy freedom, and we are increasing in numbers. And if you know what, I can tell you, we are not only increasing in numbers, we are prospering, we are thriving minority of 2% in Israel, but we are very well connected. We have very successful businessmen in Israel, very rich people, Christians. We have our own schools. We have our freedom of worship. We have everything that any democracy can give you. And Israel is a democracy. Now, some people say, yes, but we hear in the news and we see videos of people spitting on priests in Jerusalem. Yes, I will tell them it exists.
There are the odd. We have idiots everywhere. We have idiots everywhere.
Cannot deny it. It exists, and they exist. These fanatic Jews also exist. Yes, but they are very tiny minority among Jews, and they cannot even do it publicly. Or if they do it, they will be punished by the state and by the police and by the courts. While in the Arab countries and a Palestinian authority, you can attack the Christian and nobody do for you anything. The opposite. The regime will protect you. That's what's happening for the Christians in Syria today. They are attacked, and the regime protects those attackers. The ISIS people, the Al Qaeda and Jabhat al Nusra people that become the official army of Syria today.
That's right. That's right.
Here, we punish those Jews, fanatic Jews, that they act against Christian priests, and they are again very tiny, even not 0.5% of the entire population.
You can count them on the fingers of one hand.
Exactly. That's the difference. So I mean, the Europeans need to see the big picture. The big picture, they need to know it. I'm not speaking to Europeans as like Israeli only. I'm speaking as a Christian. And I know their background is a Christian and their value were Judeo-Christian values. I care for them as brothers. I love Europeans. I care for them. I don't want them to have this suffer. I don't want their children to have this suffer like we are having it here in this Middle East.
I want to raise something very important because I think perhaps you can shed some light on this. The silence of many churches. They go out of their way to criticize Israel, but when there's a genocide happening in Syria and also the ethnic cleansing in the areas under the PA, they fall silent. How do you explain that?
Appeasement. They think by appeasement they will make peace with the Muslims. This doesn't work with Islam. Islam doesn't respect weakness. Islam respects strength. Islam consider only the other side when he is strong. When you are weak, Islam will destroy you. And appeasement for them is weakness. That's the meaning and translation in their eyes. So appeasement and not saying the truth for them and educating them properly is weakness that will destroy you in Europe. It will not protect you in the
Indeed,
Vatican. It will not protect the Christians here. It will
but they
not
know
protect
they
the
know
Jews.
what's going. But Shadi, they know what's going on. They know what's been going on for the past 40 years. Is their antipathy towards the Jews greater than the love for fellow Christians? I ask myself this question because we've seen a genocide in the Middle East of the Christians. Could this
You're
could this
talking
be
about who now? State level or people?
No, I'm talking about the church. Not all the church, but certainly within the leadership of some of the churches. They are very silent about the plight of the Christians in the Middle East. This is
Not
when
only. They are silent against plight of Christians. They are silent about plight of Jews. They are silent against plight of Druze, about the
exactly.
plight of
That's my
They don't.
point.
They only care to appease the Muslim world and show that they can live in coexistence, which
Right.
doesn't exist
Which
because
doesn't
it
exist.
exists only in their side and not on the
Yes.
other side.
Exactly. But obviously we see the results of this appeasement.
Yes, and that's what we see of the results is the weakness of Europe, the weakness of the church. That's why many Christians in Israel and in the world are leaving the churches because the leadership is actually failing to protect them.
But now let's be careful because I've made a sweeping statement. I know there are priests within the Catholic Church that are very supportive of Israel. I know that, but
I'm
on the
not talking
other,
about supporting Israel. You asking about plight of Christians. I'm talking about Christians.
I know, but they're also aware of the plight of Christians, but obviously they don't have the strength to deal with these things. So that's why I'm correcting what I said to a certain extent.
So Marco, if they have no feeling for the Christians, do you want them to feel for the Jews?
No, absolutely. My question is, I'm going back to the question. Do they hate the Jews more than they love the Christians? Because they go out of the way to criticize Jews, but they don't do anything about the systematic murder of Christians. And they ignore the ethnic cleansing. They turn another cheek, as it
Marco,
were.
I look at it in a different way. They are bankrupted. That's it. These people are bankrupted. That's why they cannot defend themselves. They cannot defend Christians. They will not defend Jews. They will not defend any minority and only appeasement, only to survive. That's
But
it.
they're not surviving.
And they are not surviving. They are actually weakening themselves and weakening others. If they
That's right.
want, they have a chance now under this Trump administration and under the changes that we see in Europe because of this immigration and their behavior in Europe. They have a chance to rise up and lead the movement, and you will see how the churches will become stronger and a better place for all people and give hope for people. For now, they are not giving any hope for people.
I hear the complaints. Yeah. Sorry, Vitor, did you want to say something?
Yeah, actually, it just came to my feet here. Something that just happened, and I want to share with you guys. Are you familiar with Charlie Kirk, the American conservative influencer? Charlie Kirk. He's very big on abortion. He's
No.
close to Ben Shapiro. So Charlie Kirk, and I'm sure there are viewers who are watching us, was just shot on the neck. He's a sort of Ben Shapiro type of person.
Oh, I'm
He's
familiar
very
with
close.
him. Yes.
Yeah, he was just shot on the neck during
Shot
a
in the neck.
speech.
My
Shot on the
goodness.
neck. He was giving a speech in Utah
And what's his
University.
condition? Have you got any news about his condition?
I mean, he was sent to hospital. Everyone is praying for his recovery. His name Charlie Kirk.
No,
Charlie.
when happened? When that
Just
happened?
now, as she was speaking, and this goes to your point that Christians are being, threatened all over the place, and the U.S. is not an exception. As much as Trump is influential, managing the country from the White House. There is plenty of things that are not under government control, and there's a lot of hate towards Christians. And America used to be a safe haven, at least the South, for Christians. It's not anymore. And as you said, churches are bankrupted and don't have the capacity to protect their own communities, and anything can happen. And it's very, very scary, as I said.
You left this arena for a long time, open for with a vacuum, open for other forces to enter with different agenda, progressive, fanatic agendas, with Islamic joining Islamic movement. By the way, Islamic movement will destroy them at the end. Will destroy those progressive at the end. That's the main issue. What they will do first when they become the.
Shadi, let me just disagree with you, because I believe that the Islamists won't destroy the progressives, because Europe will destroy Islam first. I'm confident that Europe will destroy them first. I believe that we'll put our thoughts and people together, and we'll be able to destroy them before they destroy the progressives. Not that I'm trying to protect the progressives here. I mean, of course, I don't wish them bad, but I believe that there is a counter response happening, and it's just a matter of time. And I believe it won't be too late. And I don't sound naive, but I think I think there is still time to heal.
I don't know. I don't see any Christian background people or normal Europeans will go and fight progressive. They might, weaken them by being voting to other parties. But at the end, those progressive will join Islamists against you. And unfortunately, I say they are doing it now. They have no problem with it, and they are voting for them, and they are empowering them. But I tell you for sure that Islam, at the end, once it's in power, they will destroy those transgenders and progressive. First of all, because there are enemies. Christians are less enemies for them than those progressives. And Jews are less enemies for them than those progressives, and transgenders, and LGBTQ, whatever they call themselves. Less. So let's be clear. I give you an example. You ask me how you know. I tell you, I give you an example how I know. First of all, that's what's happening for them in Islamic world. They are not allowed to speak out. They are not allowed to exist in Gaza, under any Islamic Palestinian Authority, under Syria, in Lebanon, like Lebanon, maybe they have freedom because it's Christian, more liberal values, but under other Arab world, they are not allowed to exist. Now that's one. Second, Christians opened schools for the Muslims here. They educated the Muslims. They allow them freedom to speak, to study in their own schools. They make them very well sophisticated. They made a theater for them, music, everything. At the end, when we taught them and they become sophisticated and successful and educated, they didn't even tell you thank you. They tell you, we did it. It's our land. We did it by ourselves. They don't admit even and say thank you for those Christians for doing so. The opposite. The response was massacre, ethnic cleansing for Christians in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon, in the West Bank under Palestinian Authority, in Egypt, everywhere. No, even thank you. So you want to tell me they will treat the progressive in a good way?
No, what I mean is, I think I was not clear.
No, he's saying there is a
what I meant is, before Islam wiped out the progressives, we, the remaining machos that are still living in Europe, we will wipe out the Islamists. That's what I believe, and I see this is happening. And it's not going to happen through politics. We don't need to elect a specific party. What is going to happen, and I've been discussing this with others, is the politicians will feel the pressure when they believe that they are not with them anymore, and these political parties who are on the center, they will realize that if they want to be popular, they need to shift themselves to the right side of the political spectrum, and then they will start changing their policies. I don't think this is going to be done via the parliament, but via people. That's the only way, because, as you said, Islam is not compatible with democracy. It's all about force and stamina. So we need to show them that we have some, and I think it's still possible. That's how I perceive it.
What
Well,
is happening, Shadi, is that there is a reaction in Europe now, a pretty
Correct.
strong reaction, especially in countries like Britain and Ireland, and also in Spain and France and Germany. People have had enough, and they're beginning to join the dots and see that Palestinianism is the retrovirus of jihadi Islam. Slowly but surely, they are beginning to join the dots. I think that is the underlying theme of what Vitor was saying. But
only from yesterday until today, translate what they said about the Palestinian, that it is Islamic cause by all Arab actually that
absolutely
reacted against the attack in Doha, Qatar, against Hamas. They said that clearly. Just translate that and publish it for them.
What we've tried to highlight in our podcasts, and we don't because we don't even use the language, we don't use Palestinian because it doesn't connote a real nation. It's only an excuse. So we're very careful about the language we use. We speak about Palestinism and Palestinists, which is an ideology which wants the destruction of nation states, as it indeed wants the destruction of Israel. But Israel is the first one. Then the next phase is European states. As you will know, that all these protests coalesce and rally around the Palestinist flag. But people are waking up.
Marco, it was Lebanon.
Of course.
Now they want Israel. After Israel, they want to continue to Europe. And meanwhile, they are starting in USA and in Canada. And
all the Western world, in Australia as well.
Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah, that's a process. And the world should speak about it, and they should understand that Israel is fighting their fight, like the Swedish Prime Minister said lately, and was surprised to hear her actually saying that.
Israel that's a sign. Shadi, that's a sign. What you just said, the fact that the Swedish Prime Minister is being open about it and telling it on camera, that's a sign that Europe is waking up. And it's not only Sweden, even Denmark is being tougher and tougher with immigrants. So not many people talk about Denmark, because Denmark is still somehow friends with Brussels. They prefer to curse on Hungary, but there's, especially among the Nordics, there is more and more hostility towards Islam, and that's a good thing, and that is being echoed by other countries. Where I live in Ireland, in the UK, I think France and Spain to an extent, and that give us some hope. And I'm fully subscribing your warnings, but I think they're resonating with Europeans to a level that maybe can save Western civilization.
Look, I'm not saying, I don't want to be more like I will take only the UAE foreign minister words. He told the Europeans, I know what is Islam, not you. Don't teach me what is Islam, he told them in the conference. And he was very straightforward, as UAE foreign minister telling the Europeans Islam is endangering you and endangering us. And he meant by Islam that those political radical Muslims that go to Europe and radicalize European societies, Islamic societies, and radicalize Islamic countries are a threat for their own nation states. So this is what we are talking about here. Political Islam, Ikhwan. What is Ikhwan? The Islamic Brotherhood. It's Hamas. a Palestinian Authority too that are also called Fatah. Fatah is, by the way, they call it a secular, but it's called Fatah. What is Fatah? Fatah is a word from Islam, means occupying other nations, means occupying. It's not opening other countries, you knock door and you open, means like in Arabic, Fatah, open the door. It's occupying other nation by force and take out your culture and imposing their culture.
I wanted to ask you, I want you to explain to our viewers as well, because people tend to believe Fatah is the moderate organization and Hamas is the extremist organization. Whereas I try to explain to people that they are different sides of the same coin. Can you give us a little bit of an insight?
Fatah is actually and Hamas have only slight difference between them. One is saying it clearly, we want to wipe out Israel, and other one is hiding it. That's it. And the cause for both is Islamic cause. The Islamic cause that they are talking about, Jerusalem must be a Muslim, must be this land only a Muslim, and other non-Muslims should live as dhimmis, as second or third, fourth class citizen under their Islamic rule. And that's what they want, both of them, for this land.
That's
and
right.
They want that for Europe, and they want that for everywhere they are. Because in the Muslim faith, they should spread Islam. They must. If they don't do it, then they are not Muslims. They won't be Muslim if you don't go and as Muhammad, their prophet, told them.
Right. Now I want to ask you something else, because I'm going to be a little bit provocative here. Why did some Christians align themselves with the PLO? And I'm talking about George Habash and all the Naif Hawatme and the Ashrawis of this world. Why, in your opinion, did they align themselves with something which is suicidal for the Christian communities?
That's what we discussed this before, Marco. I think we are repeating ourselves. We already spoke about it, about the dhimmi attitude, about the lip service, about the terrorizing of Christians. And if they don't do it, they will be attacked in Jerusalem, and they will be attacked in West Bank, and they will be attacked in other places under Arab regimes. And so they must speak this way in order to justify their existence. Or that's one. Second, they have been for centuries wiped out from their identity. They were not learning their identity. They were forced to learn only Arabic and Islamic history. And this, when you teach someone from early age of kindergarten under high grade, under like 12th grade, that he is coming from, I don't know how they relate themselves to that, coming or their history is the Arab and Islamic history, even though they learned that they were being dhimmis, treated as dhimmis. That's what I was learning in Arabic school, by the way. I learned in Arabic school. So
Indeed.
teach us, I know what they teach us. So I couldn't be like proud of this history. It has nothing to do with me. But these people are like, it's masochist, we call them. In masochist
a sort of a Stockholm syndrome. There's a sort of a Stockholm.
That's exactly what are these people. A minority want to survive, so they side or they bought by money. Qatar pays them money, and the Palestinians has a lot of money. Europeans pay them money. America pays them money. USA, Arabs pay them money. Everybody pays them money, and they do nothing. Only fight Israel. They don't build anything. Nothing. They don't even produce anything. Tell me what did they produce other than terror and tunnels to fight instead of building schools, instead of building town like Singapore, like Hong Kong, with this money to educate their people and make it heaven for them as a model that can be followed later on in Judea and Samaria or a West Bank. They fail. And now we want to give them a Palestinian state to fail, another failure state. For what? This will bring peace? I said once, I don't believe in a push button peace. In order to receive peace in this region and achieve it, you need to teach those we call Arabs in this region to know what are Western values and adopt these Western values, teach them these Western values, and once they learn to tolerate, to love, to live in coexistence with others, with respect of other people's existence, you might talk peace. But if you now will go and do peace when they learning that others are infidels and others are kuffar, are sinners, you need to impose on them Islam in anyhow, even by political way or by a moderate way or by fanatic way. It's the same. If you look at the other person that he is worth nothing because he's a sinner, because he's a non-Muslim, then you cannot achieve peace. It's a fake peace that will bring wars.
Vitor?
And just to that note, I just want to, as we come to, not to come to an end, but the last 20 minutes, there were a few events that I think we cannot dismiss in this conversation. And just talking of terror attacks, there was a massive one taking place in Jerusalem, to my best knowledge, on the north, when a couple of animals just got into a bus and shoot the passengers, and like it wasn't enough, they decided to shoot people who were on the street. So, to my best knowledge, six people passed away, and 1,000 were.
Well, they didn't
injured.
pass away. They were murdered.
They were murdered. Sorry, it was just bad English here. Marco, can you give us more understanding of what happened there?
There isn't. It's not a very complex story. It's the usual examples of Palestinist terrorism against civilians. One has to bear in mind that Palestinist terrorism is directed to anybody who doesn't subscribe to Palestinism. So any civilian in the street in Israel is fair game. There are no mysteries there. Okay. There's nothing really to. Fortunately, people are well armed these days, and they were eliminated. But it's not enough. Deterrence needs to be reestablished, and Israel has to go into these villages and root out and do a good job. It's no point in putting a plaster on it because it doesn't work. Israel has to go in and lay down the law and eliminate all these organizations. They cannot and must not exist in the land of Israel.
I
Shadi,
can say something because
Yeah.
I want to just note something that it's in my mind. Do you know the size of Israel if we compare it with the Islamic world geographically? 0.007. And all the 51 Islamic states, 51 Islamic states in this world. There's only one state that is Jewish, to preserve their Jewish culture and identity and language and Hebrew language and freedom in this world as other people, and they cannot take it. They cannot take it. They cannot accept it. They want just to destroy it. 1.9 billion Muslims in this world. Only 7 million Jews in land of Israel, with 0.007 of the size of all Arab and Islamic nation states geographically. So who is the colonialist? Tell me. Where in this world where in this world you saw more states that we went there and imposing our Hebrew language or our Jewish identity on others? Where? Where? While they occupy the entire Middle East, they occupied entire North Africa, all the way to Spain. Luckily, Europeans won before occupying France and Italy and Vienna and the gates of Vienna, and they were saved. So you telling me that Jews are colonialists and those not colonialists, they are the colonialists. So let the world understand and be knowledgeable and don't be ignorant about history. And another point that is important to note it here. People say, oh, since Israel exists in 1948, only wars. No, my friends, this land was always in wars before Israel existed. And since 632, since Islamic conquest started and occupying this land, wars didn't end in this land. We have the Arabs for 400 years occupying this land, 632 to 1000 and so. Then the Mamluks, then the Ottomans, all are one, like under the Islamic State, they call it. And then, only then, we have British Mandate. And after British Mandate, the State of Israel was established. But until that time, wars exist. And in this land, it never stopped. Not because of the Jews. The Jews were the indigenous people here. And the Christians were the indigenous people here. Because they descend from the same roots, both of them. They come from the same forefathers. Just religion divided us at the end. Religion that Jesus didn't plan to actually establish. He didn't come to establish a religion. People followed him, establish a religion. But he was a Jewish and acting as a Jewish. He was liberal Jew to his era back then. That's the truth. But to tell me Israel, because of Israel there is wars? No. Israel, not the one that initiating wars. Israel is defending itself from those who want to wipe out them. And their natural reaction is to defend itself from them and protect themselves. Because every person, even Europeans, if you are attacked, you will defend yourself. Look at them now, how they behave with Russia. Russia attacked Ukraine, and they feel threatened that it will continue to other parts of Europe. So all Europeans now, what naturally doing? Gathering, planning to defend themselves. So you expect me as Israeli, even if I'm Christian, I'm Israeli still. I'm Aramaic, Christian, proud, but I'm also by citizenship Israeli. And I love my country because this country allows me freedom. And I will defend it. And I'm defending it. And I'm proudly defending it. By wherever I can speak, I will speak. Because it allows me the freedom as Aramaic person. So don't mistake. Israel is not the problem. Israel is the solution for this area. And Lebanon should be free too.
Talking about, I want to raise the question of Lebanon, because of course the Aramean subject which you raise is very important with regard to Lebanon. How do you view the situation in Lebanon? Is there a growing awareness also of this Aramean Near East identity as being distinct? Is some kind of consciousness developing?
Look, many, at least on the Christian side, they understand that Israel not the problem. Israel is a partner for peace. But many of the Muslims actually they also awaken and they understand that if they continue these wars, they will not exist in Lebanon. And so, if they want to live, they must allow others to live. And if Israel can live peacefully in this as a people here, enjoying peaceful life, they will give peace for others. But if you give Israel wars, you want to fight and to kill and to throw them to the sea, they will give you wars back. Israel didn't start these wars. They planned these wars in Iran. They planned these wars in Hezbollah in Lebanon. And they wanted to wipe out Israel by having 7 fronts and firing rockets and invading it from all fronts at once.
Mm.
And this is what I ask Christians in Lebanon: wake up. Israel is a solution for you and for other Lebanese if you want to live in peace. It will help you, it will assist you, and you will live in a good economic conditions because you are neighbors and we have nothing to do with you or against you. But take away your radical people.
Right. Indeed. I want to, with your Vitor, with your permission, I'd like to ask another question. Of course, you speak Arabic. You grew up in an Arab environment. What is your understanding of the situation within Muslim society in Israel? Because I have a sort of a nuanced approach. I see also increasing amount of Muslims who are actually serving in the Israeli army. There is also an awareness that Israel is the best thing that happened to them and the best thing that can happen to them. These are my interactions, which are very often positive. What's your view?
I can tell you that many of the Christian of the Muslims in Israel, many and really many, it means more than 50%, they would prefer Israel and not changing this country with any other country. But they live in conflict. These people has like a conflict. From one side, they want Israel. From other side, they don't want to serve the country and be part of the country fully, defend the country fully.
They want to have the cake and eat it, you're saying.
Exactly. That's it. That's the situation.
Right. Among a significant amount, but I do see, and I have to say, I recognize that, but I also do see an increasing number who are actually serving in the army with great distinction.
There is many. There are like a lot joining the army, joining the police service, but again, this is not the majority.
Okay.
The majority are neutral. They live daily life, enjoying life in Israel, enjoying the democracy. They have a beautiful life if you compare it to all other nations, Arab nations around them. As Arabs in Israel, they live the best life ever. They have money, they have freedom, they can do even what in other Arab countries cannot do. They cannot do here, they can do it in Israel because it's democracy. It's enjoying all the conditions and values of democracy. But they don't get the point that if they don't join fully Israel in its war against those barbarics that attack it from all fronts, they will not enjoy this life because Israel will be weakened. So our duty as citizens, and it doesn't matter what our background is to join forces together to defend this state that has a democracy and allowing us this freedom and security. And
Indeed. Vitor?
Yeah, I have a final question. So I would like to understand where you guys are located. So let's say if someone is heading to Israel, what's the best way to navigate to find significant
We have our
Aramean community? And yeah, and I hope those folks in Flotilla can listen to us. Maybe they can approach you and ask you for a sandwich. So
We have Aramaic Center. First of all, it's in Upper Galilee. We located in Upper Galilee, close to the Lebanese border. It's a town called Gush Khalav. It's a historical biblical town from the time of Jesus as well existed. And St. Peter, parents were from there before migrating to Tarsus in Syria. So he was living there. He was born there, by the way. And it is 25 minutes away from Sea of the Galilee, from Capernaum and Mount of Beatitude. That's the area where we live in. I can tell you that if people want to know more about us, they can go to www.aramaic-center.com, or on social media, they can go to Israeli Christian Aramaic NGO in Instagram or in Facebook, and reach out to us and follow our social media in Twitter or under my name, Shadi Khalloul. They can do all these things and reach out our messages. That's what I can tell you. We will keep exposing the truth and speak the truth for our Christian people, for our state of Israel, and keep building bridges between us and the state and the neighboring countries, because we as Christians are bridge and peacemaking, not siding against Jews and not siding against those or Muslims. We are speaking the truth because we were ordered to speak the truth and build bridge and bring this peace by building bridges. That's what our work here. If we don't do it, then we are failing our role. And we, and as Christians and as Lebanese descendants in Israel, as Israeli citizens, because you cannot side against the Jewish state in order to satisfy the other side. You need, at least, if you don't want to do anything, at least be neutral, be yourself. Don't side with Islamic cause that will destroy you. Be a peace builder. Be a bridge for between Christian and Muslims, and educate Muslims how to make peace with the Jews. Educate them also about yourself, about your identity. Don't wipe your identity in order to justify your existence and satisfy their need. And tell them, I am an Arab, so they can accept you. That's a racism if they don't accept you as Aramaic. That's discrimination. We know it exists in the Arab world. But educate them. Tell them what you do. Your forefathers were great people, did great things. The Arabic language developed from actually Aramaic and Syriac. Teach them that. Educate them about the origin of Syria, about the origin of Lebanon, about the origin of Iraq. Don't tell them Arab state. This is not Arab state. It wasn't never Arab state. Israel was not Arab land and not Arab state. Tell them the truth. You Christians are educated. You are sophisticated people. You learn. You are a people of the book that read and write. Teach the others.
But let me ask one more word of encouragement, more on a touristic side of the house. So if there is someone listening to this conversation, okay, and they are very keen to visit Israel, but at the same time, they don't want to face the so-called social repercussions. So they don't want to visit Israel and post a selfie in Tel Aviv or in Jerusalem because there will be backlash from their social circles. But they feel the appeal. How would you encourage them to go ahead?
Go ahead where? To us?
to Israel.
Take
Yeah,
the bus and rent a car and go.
yeah.
Well,
I've been
I
there.
can tell you that many people. I was just lately in Tel Aviv. I had a meeting in Tel Aviv with some of our Aramaic people who came from overseas to visit us. And they told me, Shadi, we never thought Israel is going to be this way. We felt that this is our people. We felt this is us. And many Christians who come here, they say, I want to stay here. I want to be here. That's where I belong. Many of them feel this way. So Israel is a welcoming place. Israel is a welcoming people. And you need to come here and see your origins, your roots. That's where you belong, where your faith belongs to. See the truth about Israel. Learn about the situation. Don't listen only to some people that only their job is to complain. Complain is easy. You can complain always, but to build something is something different. I can complain and cry and say, oh, well, we are Christians, we are a minority, we are this, we cannot succeed, we cannot do. No, I was succeeding and I succeeded and I knocked doors and I did open doors for my Christian community and I got achieved the recognition of the state of Israel and I'm still working to build an Aramaic Christian town in the Galilee and I never give up because we need to be optimistic. We have it. We are the people of hope. We should bring hope and be optimistic and bring a positive attitude with the Jews. The Jews are liberal people in majority and they will listen to you. It all depends on your attitude. If you come with positive attitude, you will find a positive attitude. If you come with negative attitude, you will receive a negative attitude. And
Very
that's
true.
why I'm succeeding. We
Yeah,
succeeding because we know how to talk with our Jewish brothers and sisters here. We live with them. I served in the military in the past and I know how to react and how to build friendship with them and how to ask and how to knock doors. And I call everyone to do so here in Israel and encourage them to do so as Christians. This is the way to open doors for you and for your people and for your strengthening your community and a resilience in this land and defend it.
I've noticed there is an increase in Syriac groups coming to Israel. I have noticed that, and they certainly feel very much at home when they come. So I can confirm what you said. Can you tell us on a final note about your activity? You run an academy to prepare people for military service. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's a academy for civil service and military service, so people can choose to go either this or this one. But most of them they choose at the end to go to military because they know that military gives them a better, I call it opportunities and much greater opportunities because they go and all is open for them. They can go to any unit. They can choose electronic units, intelligence unit, Air Force. We have people in paratroopers. We have people in fighting units. We have all over the military, and people go there because it opened doors for them too. You know, military is, that's true. It's a period of time you defend the state, defend the country, but you learn from it and you build your personality. You build your personality, and this is the basics for you to succeed in this state. And that's why many people at the end, after this academy, choose to go to this actually service model, and it's very few of them to a civil model. So it's up to them. It's they are free to choose. But we teach them about their own roots, about their Aramaic language, about their Aramaic history and heritage, and we teach them about their relations as a Christian and Jews, And Jews learn about us too. Not only Christians learning about Jews, but Jews learn about us and who we are, and they become better knowledgeable about us. And when they become officers or state managers or in different positions in the government in the future, at least I know I have messengers that know about me and can help me achieve my goals as community.
Excellent. I think that's a beautiful way to close. So I want to thank you, Shadi, for your remarks. I think they were very impactful, and I hope they will help us waking up in Europe. There are people, as Marco said, that are already aware of the threats, but there are others that are not, and they need to listen to comments like yours, and especially because you provide us with examples, with illustrations, and that's very helpful when it comes to alert individuals that are not very keen to what's going on in their doorstep. So thank you very much for your insight,
Thank you
Shadi. It was
for
a great pleasure.
Marco,
I hope we can
Vitor.
catch up
Thank you so much.
next time I'm in Israel. I haven't met the Aramean community, so I'm very keen to do that myself. I start to have a very long list, Marco, after this, but
Yeah,
I think that's not a bad thing.
We have to get him up to Jish, Shadi. We have to get him up to Jish.
Look, I can get him very close in Europe. He has big Aramaic federations and communities in Sweden.
But he's
120,000.
that's right. But he's
I'd
coming
rather
to
go to
Israel.
Israel.
He's coming
6,000.
to, but he's coming to Israel, Shadi. He's coming. It's already
That's something
planned.
different. If he comes to Israel, he has a home here and place to stay.
Great. Thanks very much. I was there last time in June during the war with Iran. So I hope next time.
Because of him, the war started.
Yeah.
Let's pray for peace. Let's pray for
Amen.
peace, and
Amen.
peace will come when these terrorists will stop their actually intent to destroy others.
Yeah. 100%. So yeah, I want to thank you, Shadi.
Say,
Marco.
hang on. Wait a second. Say something in Aramaic. A goodbye or something, a phrase or something.
Ushun bashlomo
Okay.
means stay in peace.
Exactly.
That's
Very good.
Bashlomo. Shlomo is shalom.
That's
In
right.
Hebrew,
That's right.
Shlomo in Aramaic.
I think you're a bit of an Ashkenazi Aramean.
Exactly.
I also want to thank the viewers who provided us with comments. So thank you very much for being participative. We want this to be dynamic, and that's what happened this evening. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to press that button below, because myself and Marco are not getting tired. We're going to be here every Wednesday. So there's more to come in the next few months. So stay tuned. If you enjoy the conversation, also press that like button below. If you know someone who might benefit and won't find boring this chat, make sure to share. So with that note, I wish everyone a good evening, and I see you soon. Take care.